We're not a hot take show. Never have been, never will be. It's not us. All right, we have too much respect for the people that make this game what it is, for the coaches and the players and all that. But there is a time, I think, to have some bold takes. Teddy Roosevelt says it best. Credit goes to the man in the arena. We're going to step into the arena right now, give you some bold predictions for tonight's national championship game. Make sure you know, 1, subscribe to the channel. 2, the hard count brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Tonight now, Will Howard, half a passing yard. You lock that in. Take the more, obviously, and that will hit, and you'll be halfway home because you just need one more square. We got one more square for you in this segment. Again, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, gets you $50 in promo funds. So the first bold prediction I have for you for the national championship game Monday night. I think this thing is close for the first 2 quarters. I really do. I already told you, if you've watched this show and go check out our prediction video, we have Ohio State. We don't have them covering. But I think this game is either tied or a 3-point margin either side at halftime. All right? The reason why I feel that way, I just have a difficult time believing that Notre Dame, after how slow they came out against Penn State, I think they're going to make that a point of emphasis to start fast against Ohio State in this national title game. I also think with all that's been said about Notre Dame, with them being 8.5-point dogs and all that, like I think they probably feel some sort of challenged, if you will. I mean, they've said they're going to come out and play man coverage. I think they're going to bring a pretty intense showing to get this thing rolling. Now, I think for Ohio State, it's also worth noting, even though we have them winning the football game, there's a lot of pressure on Ohio State. Like everyone said about, Ryan Day and the best roster and all that, like the pressure to win this game is absolutely on Ohio State. I'm not telling you that means they start slow, but I do think if I'm Notre Dame, like we got nothing to lose, man. It's house money at this point. There's nothing more dangerous than a gambler with house money, and that's what Notre Dame is right now. So I think they bring it in the first half, and again, I think it's very, very tight when we go into the break. Another bold prediction. I think in the second half, we see a special team swing, whether it be for Notre Dame or for Ohio State. That's, I think, the separating factor when it comes to how this thing starts to lean one way or the other. The reason why I feel that way, if you've watched Notre Dame all postseason, that's who they are. Like Marty Biaggi, special teams coordinator and assistant DBs coach for Notre Dame, give him a ton of credit for the way that they have, had the run they've had. It was the difference against Georgia. They had 13 points on special teams with the kickoff return, the 2 field goals, the game-winning field goal against Penn State. Like this is kind of who Notre Dame's been. And I think if you want to beat the big dog, you want to beat the team that's an 8.5-point favorite right now, you got to find a way to win in the margins like Notre Dame has done all year long. So I think if Notre Dame wins, you look at special teams, it will play some factor, I promise you right now. On the flip side for Ohio State, in a spot like this, it probably requires some championship DNA vibes on special teams to get it done. Can't help but look back at Caleb Downs back there returning punts. Already run one back already against Indiana this year. He's been on a tear this postseason, at least, with how he's stepped up in big moments. It would not shock me in the slightest if Caleb Downs met the moment and had a big punt return he either took back to the crib or he put Ohio State within scoring position. Like I think that's something we could count on for Ohio State, again, if they end up being the team that wins this game like we believe they will be. Riley Leonard, been a dude that has just found a way all postseason long, I should say. He comes over to Notre Dame in the offseason from Duke, and there's a lot of conversation around what does he bring to the table, and how does he impact the offense and all those things. Like I just think in this spot now, I think he has his best passing performance from a yardage perspective this entire season. And you're hearing me say, like, JD, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because this is the best defense that Notre Dame's going to play this year. Riley Leonard has found a way all postseason long, but like, are we really thinking against this Ohio State secondary, he has his best passing yard total? I'm going to say yes. And it might be a dirty bulk. It may not be the most attractive 4 verts. Riley Leonard's carving them up. It might be some check down bonanza. It might be some jailbreak screen and some stuff to the running backs. It may not be the most appeasing, 230 plus, but I think it will be a spot where Riley Leonard finds a way to just continue to find a way. Like you find a way to find a way is probably the best way to say it when it comes to Riley Leonard. And you're saying, JD, again, that doesn't make sense. I hear you. But y'all, this team, Notre Dame being in this spot, that doesn't make sense. Like, they got outrushed by 100 yards against Penn State. The Georgia game, they got much less talent from a Stars perspective than Georgia. It doesn't make sense, and so that's why we're fading our own better logic and saying Riley Leonard finds a way to have his best passing yards of the entire season. Also worth noting, he's coming off of a game against Penn State where he had his best passing yard total, also the best defense they played to that point. Against Penn State, he went for 223. His best game of the season came against Stanford where he had 229. So, again, 230 plus is what we're telling you Riley Leonard is going to have in this spot. The prize pick square we like, 219.5, is Riley Leonard's rushing and passing yards combined. So we're giving ourselves some margin there with our prediction, but we'll take the more there. Feel great about it. Code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, get you $50 in promo funds. If Notre Dame wins, I think it has to be because of something like that. Mike Denbrock knows they got to swing big. There's a swagger and a confidence, I think, behind this Notre Dame team that will elevate them in the passing game. A long way to tell you, Riley Leonard, I think he has his best passing performance of the entire season in the biggest spot of the season for the Irish. Now, last bold prediction for you. Who wins the MVP for this game? Like, Will Howard's the betting favorite at -110. Riley Leonard, if Notre Dame were to win, you would think would probably get the lean. He's at +500. Jeremiah Smith, I believe, will win the MVP for this national title game, currently +360 if you want to make some money on that. I do not love the recipe for Notre Dame when it comes to man coverage against Jeremiah Smith. Now, hear me clearly. I don't love the recipe when it comes to a 4-quarter game. Because I look at Jeremiah Smith, I look at what he did against Oregon, look at what he did against Tennessee. It's a matter of time before he gets his. And Texas did a phenomenal job, give them all the credit in the world, the way they were able to essentially take him away. They played a lot of zone coverage. Notre Dame's not going to play a lot of zone. They're going to play a lot of our guy versus your guy. We like our dude versus your dude. Jeremiah Smith is a freak show, man. 6'3", 225. The numbers are what they are. I just think you're not going to win enough matchups against him man-to-man to where he doesn't get his. You say, well, JD, Will Howard, again, -110. If Jeremiah Smith has a big day, doesn't Will Howard have a big day? Absolutely true. We're going to kind of try to thread the needle here with this prediction. Notre Dame is very plucky. Very, very plucky. So I could see a world now where Will Howard, heck, he might have 2 picks, and Jeremiah Smith has a huge day. And that ends up being the reason why he wins the MVP for the national title game en route to an Ohio State victory. It could be a thing, too, where, hey, Will Howard went for 300-plus yards, but Jeremiah Smith had a $150-plus. Like, maybe that's the way that it works. So, again, threading the needle, but I go back to this. If Notre Dame's going to keep with the same pitch of we're playing man coverage, they may get a few strikeouts early in this game. They might get Notre Dame, or Ohio State, in a spot where they kind of got to regroup at halftime. But if you give Chip Kelly the same pitch over and over again, even if it looks different ways, give him 2 quarters of data to look at, you look at the second half, and I think Ohio State finds a way now with Jeremiah Smith, with Chip Kelly, and with the way this team is wired, man. I think they find a way to have a big day through the air. I think Jeremiah Smith wins the MVP because of that scheme and because of what he's going to do in this spot. Last thing I'll say about Jeremiah Smith, kind of got some legend to him, right? Like even since he got to campus at Ohio State, there was always this vibe of like, hey, man, there's this freshman now, and it's a true freshman, enrolled early, but he's been tearing it up. And we'd see little clips from practice via, social media, hype videos or whatever. He's making one-handed catch after one-handed catch. He's sort of always had some legend to him. He's got Michael Jordan as his profile picture on Twitter. It just feels like it fits, right? Like in a game like this, when you're doing bold predictions, you kind of got to go with your gut and your feeling. We just feel like it would fit so perfectly for Jeremiah Smith to rebound from a game where he gets 3 yards against Texas to go for a big day against Notre Dame and to win the MVP when it's all said and done for the national title game. So again, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds to get you rolling and have a good time tonight for the national championship game. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this show, man.